Are your spring flowering bulbs done for the season? If they're done flowering, don't cut that foliage back just yet. Here's what you want to do instead. I know it is so difficult to look at your garden after your daffodils, your tulips, your hyacinths when they're done blooming and the foliage looks, and then it starts to like slowly brown out and you're kind of like, it's just really unsightly. Like, I get it. Spring flowering bulbs like tulips, daffodils, and hyacinths bring vibrant bursts of color to gardens after a long winter. Once the blooms fade, proper care is essential to ensure the bulbs remain healthy and produce beautiful flowers year after year. One common question is when and how to cut back the fading foliage, and it's a great question because the timing can greatly impact how well they bloom next year. So put your pruning shears down because here's why we need to keep that foliage for a little bit longer. It might be tempting to tidy up the garden by cutting back the yellowing leaves of spring bulbs, but doing so too early can be detrimental to their health and impact flowering later. The leaves play a crucial role in photosynthesis, which is the process by which plants convert sunlight into energy. This energy is stored in the bulb and is essential for producing next year's blooms. Premature removal of foliage can significantly reduce the size and number of flowers in the following season. Additionally, weakened bulbs are more susceptible to diseases and pests. We want these blooms to multiply and bloom year after year, so hold off cutting them back too early. Because the goal is more blooms, am I right? So when is the right time to cut back spring flowering bulbs? The key to knowing when the right time to cut them back is to observe the foliage. Wait until the leaves have completely yellowed and withered before cutting them back. This usually occurs about 6 to 8 weeks after flowering. You'll know the bulbs have finished storing their energy when the foliage turns yellow and naturally falls over. Now, I know how unsightly that looks, but it's so important to leave them be. So one of the ways that we can help the plant along is we can deadhead the flowers, which is drastically different from cutting back the foliage. Deadheading refers to the removal of spent flowers to prevent the plant from putting energy into seed production. Deadheading spring bulbs is perfectly fine to do and may even encourage a second, smaller set of blooms in some cases. And at a minimum, it tidies up the garden. However, cutting the leaves before they have naturally died back is what harms the bulbs. So while it's okay to deadhead your flowers, leave the foliage be. If you're not sure how to cut back your spring flowering bulbs, here's how to do it. Patiently observe your spring bulbs until the foliage has completely yellowed and withered. Using sharp, clean garden shears or scissors, cut the leaves off at the base near the ground. You can compost the foliage or leave it on the ground to decompose naturally, adding nutrients back into the soil. There are some special considerations for certain types of bulbs. So for starters, where daffodils are concerned, the foliage tends to flop over. It's really unsightly and can make a mess. Some gardeners recommend tying the leaves together to keep them tidy and prevent them from smothering nearby plants, but I recommend not doing this because the foliage needs exposure to sunlight during bulb photosynthesis. More sunlight will hit all the foliage if you avoid tying, banding, or braiding the foliage. Some tulips like to have their seed pods removed, so I generally try to go around and deadhead all of my tulips in the hopes that they'll perform a little bit better next year. So what can you do to keep your garden looking good while that foliage is dying back? Here are a few ways to make it look a little bit better. So for starters, companion planting. Surround your spring bulbs with later blooming perennials or annuals that will grow up and around the fading foliage. Hostas, daylilies, ferns, and ornamental grasses are all excellent choices as they fill in the gaps and provide a beautiful backdrop. You can also strategically place your bulbs near the base of shrubs or deciduous trees. As the foliage fades, the expanding leaves of the surrounding plants will naturally conceal the yellowing stems. If you're short on growing space or prefer a more flexible option, plant bulbs in containers. Once the flowers have faded, move the pots to a less conspicuous area of your garden or patio, and voila, everything looks better within minutes. You can also incorporate decorative elements like trellises, obelisks, or other garden decor and vintage finds to draw attention away from the fading foliage. Strategically placed rocks or driftwood can also add interest and camouflage yellowing leaves. So is there anything that we should do after we cut back our foliage? Yes. After cutting back the foliage, consider fertilizing bulbs with a balanced bulb food to replenish nutrients. This can help ensure a healthy and vibrant display of flowers next spring. Additionally, you might want to mark the location of your bulbs with small stakes or labels to avoid accidentally disturbing them in the fall when planting other bulbs or perennials. This is a great practice to do if some bulbs didn't come up and you want to replant for next year. That's it, you guys. That's what we got to do with our spring flowering bulbs. After they're done flowering, we got to leave the foliage. You can deadhead the blooms, but leave that foliage because it's really important for next year's flowers. I hope you guys learned a lot from this video and are inspired to get out there and get your bloom on. I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy a beautiful day.